sir. How are you?
How are you?
Let's just start big picture with the question of the evening. What do you see as the state of America's competitiveness?
I'm going to answer that, but real quick. You've thanked JPMorgan several times this evening. We just want to say thank you back to Axios for just convening all of you on such important topics. It's wonderful to be here, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
U.S. competitiveness, well, look, let me just start with giving you a sense from my lens on the U.S. and the U.S. economy. Just running the business I run at JPMorgan, we have teams in 150 cities around the U.S. We have teams in over 90 countries around the world. So you get a good sense of what's happening in the U.S., you get a good sense of what's happening in our friends around the world. Mm-hmm. And there's absolutely no question the U.S. sits in an unbelievable place in the competitive landscape in the global economy. Thought leadership, human capital, financial capital, innovation, combustion, rule of law, capital markets, all of this. But I will say it's tenuous, and we don't have a divine right to maintain that stature forever. And if you spend time with clients that I do, and you sort of travel the United States, we have unbelievable companies of all shapes and sizes, just hugely innovative, endurable, very enduring businesses, family-run companies, tons of capacity to handle stress and wear and tear, but it's a lot of things are taking their toll. Mm-hmm. So you have this buildup of cumulative regulations. So think about barnacles on a ship, just building up over and over and over again. You have aging infrastructure. You have aging logistics, energy. The AI build out of the AI stuff is not keeping up with needs. It's just moving so fast. And then you have what you've seen coming out of the trade negotiations this year and coming out of COVID is we have real supply chain vulnerabilities. And so I think that in combination with a lot of other factors contributed to the Security and Resiliency Program initiative that Tim Berry mentioned at the beginning. Right. It's a huge strategic priority for JPMorgan, from our board to Jamie, across our senior leadership team. Big capital commitment with $10 billion of our own capital, as well as our intention to help facilitate and arrange $1.5 trillion over 10 years. So we're quite excited to be.
I mean, so you listed out the upsides and the challenges. I think like the takeaway I get is like we can't really rest on our laurels here. Why is now the right moment for that initiative?
I mean, we're in a race. We're in a race to solve quantum. We're in a race to, we just heard it, it's a strategic imperative to win the AI race. Mm-hmm. We need to keep our energy infrastructure. It's got to keep up. It could be a huge critical dependency if we don't. You just heard a lot about that in our previous panel. The size and scale of our challenges is daunting. And the time to correct a lot of the challenges that we have in front of us it's not an overnight fix. Right. So now is better than, probably should have started a long time ago.
So let's look at the launch of this initiative. If you look ahead, what are the timeframes you're looking at, and what are the objectives? Like, how do you know you're starting to succeed?
Well, it's a 10-year initiative, and the 10 years is just meant to say, look, we're not going anywhere. These aren't overnight solutions. The amount of money, the amount of capital, the amount of the scope and the size of the challenge is enormous. It's going to take time.
It's not overnight. It's not small dollar. It's a long-term commitment.
Take a lot of human capital, a lot of financial capital, and we're all in.
Yeah. Let's go in a little deeper on human capital. Mike mentioned this earlier, as with Axios AM this morning, the JPMorgan study. Like the top headline was like 40% of American adults lack some of the digital skills needed for a lot of these jobs. What are your big picture thoughts on just workforce development, workforce pipelines? Like, how do we solve for that?
I mean, the good news is we have, there's jobs for people. The other good news is we're staring at a manufacturing renaissance in the United States. And it was happening in a lot of ways. You had energy-intense companies moving to the US. You had clean tech companies moving to the US. You had US companies reshoring their own manufacturing. And now you have a dramatic step change in the remilitarization in the US. There's all these factors contributing to an industrial renaissance. And the other good news point is we have amazing labor force in the United States. One of the things we saw, we just built a new corporate headquarters in New York City. It was quite a project, the scope and scale of this tower. We saw first person 10,000 skilled laborers, electricians, steel workers, welders. The talent in the US is exceptional. There's just not enough of it.
Right.
As a report that was released today highlighted.
And it sounds like the advice here is just as we're making these kinds of infrastructure investments, don't forget investments in the people, because we have I guess we still have a lot of work to do in building that workforce pipeline for the future.
Well, I mean, we just go through the job categories. They need real training, and there's not the medium through which to do that. So, especially welding is one that just stands out. We need hundreds of thousands of welders around the U.S.
What's been fascinating about these conversations, we've been all over the country in local communities, talking to mayors, talking to governors, talking to local officials. Well, now we're back in Washington, D.C. How can the folks in this room help? Like when we do these in D.C., the people who show up, they really care about this issue. And I mean, they either write the policy or at least think they write the policy. What would be their advice to them? How do they go back to their office, their agencies, their bosses?
You know, it's all hands on deck.
Right.
And I think that everybody needs the best information possible to make the best decisions possible. And everybody needs to come together and co-create and ideate. So these are world scale challenges. So I think our policymakers, our legislators need the best eyes and ears on the ground so they understand the facts and circumstances locally and globally to write the best legislation and to really spend their time in the most productive way. And then what we can do is sort of square off against some of these big challenges where commercial solutions are the best answer and actually lean in, like we're trying to do at JPMorgan, with your own balance sheet, your own human capital, your own time. And I think if we do it together, we can bend the curve.
And it's not an either-or situation. This is not something that's solved by legislation or policy. It's not just something that's solved by private industry. You need two pieces of that together to solve these kinds of big challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah. Before we get the hook here, we love to end on one fun thing. Let's end on one holiday thing. You have a great hack for your family to make gift giving easier.
There's nothing wild and crazy. You know, we're all
the easiest is best.
My children are not children. They're all little grown-ups. Everybody's super busy, and nobody really needs anything in this world in this day and age. So on Thanksgiving Day, we all draw a name. You get one gift for one person. It's always a little bit of a contest. It can be the most funny.
Pour all that effort into the one good
thing. Very limited
thing.
Price. You know, nobody's going crazy, but just makes the holidays a lot simpler, a lot more focused on just being together and the true spirit of being,
another little bit of innovation for the end of the year. Douglas, thanks so much for being here. Huge thanks to JPMorganChase for this whole year of awesome events. Hope to see you next year. Stick around. We'll have Colin continuing the conversation.